everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing the mid-year book tag. It is crazy to think that we are halfway through the year. Yikes. I got these book tag questions from Sarah Crowley's video last year. I don't know if she created it, but that is the video I took inspiration from. Let's just hop on into it. Number one question is the best book I've read so far this year. It has to be Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Thank you so much, Alyssa, for getting me this book. It is just beautifully written. This is about a traveling nurse and her best friend, which first off, that was a really cool concept. It's a really cool occupation. I've actually thought about being a travel physician once I get out of med school, so we're playing around with that. But she's a travel nurse, and while they're deciding where to travel to next, she ends up seeing this guy online, and he's talking about this curse that he has. Every girl that he dates, once they break up, the next person that girl dates is their forever soulmate, the person that they marry. And she says, I have the same curse. So she responds to him just joking around, and then they decide to meet up and try to break the curse, but just in a funny, joking way. Of course, they catch feelings. There's a really sweet romance in this, but every character has so much depth to him. There's also just great humor in this. I had so many laugh out loud moments, and then moments that I just wanted to tear up. It was so beautifully written. I love Abby Jimenez's writing. It's very easy to get through, even if it is a pretty large book. It's a 400-page romance book, which is a little excessive sometimes, but it didn't feel this way at all. I would read 400 more pages of the story, and the cover is just gorgeous too. The best sequel, hands down, is Ruthless Vows. This is the book after Divine Rivals. I love this book. Another 5-star read. Divine Rivals was the first book, and it's a romance fantasy with a little bit of historical fantasy in it. It's a slower paced fantasy, gorgeous phrases and love declarations. It's so pretty. And this is a sequel. This has a lot more fantasy elements in it, but it was really interesting once you understood the world from the first book. You could really dive into the fantasy elements in this book. Roman and Iris are still top tier book couple in this book. I swoon thinking about some of the quotes in this. It was beautifully written, and I teared up at the end. Yeah. A new release I have not read, but I want to. It just came out this week. This is the Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. I've loved every Catherine Center book I read. I've read The Bodyguard, Hello Stranger, and Happiness for Beginners. Her writing is so simple and straightforward, very easy to read, but beautifully intricate, has really good depth to her characters. I don't even know what the Rom-Commers is about. I mean, it has to be a cute rom-com, and who doesn't love a good rom-com every now and then? I like my action movies more, but we can throw in a rom-com in there every now and then. My most anticipated release for the second half of the year, I'm gonna have to look at my phone to read the title because it's not something I have ingrained in my brain. The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. This is by Carissa Broadbent. This is part of the Crowns of Nyaxia series, and it's focusing on a different main character than the first two books. I loved the first two books, ate those up. Such an intricate plotline, actually. Like, the fantasy is pretty high fantasy, at least compared to the other fantasy books I've read, but very easy to understand. It's like Hunger Games, but there's vampires, and then there's really angsty tension and romance. It is an adult fantasy, so there's some spice and language. Spice is easily skippable though. I really loved the female supporting character, and she's gonna be our main character in this new book coming out in November, I believe. I'm really excited for it. Biggest surprise was definitely If the Shoe Fits. This was in the clearance section at Books A Million for about $4 or $5. I had never heard of this author before, and I was so pleasantly surprised. I rated it 5 stars. This is about our main character, Cindy, and she just graduated from fashion school. She designs shoes and clothes, but she doesn't really have a good job right now, so she moves back home to be a babysitter for her siblings. Her mom happens to be a TV producer for a TV show that's the equivalent of The Bachelor. She decides to become a contestant on this TV show, showcasing her shoe designs and her fashion designs, but also maybe falling in love a little bit. It's really sweet. It is a take on Cinderella, if you can't tell from the cover, but I loved the family dynamics too. They weren't evil stepsisters. They were really kind to her, and her stepmother was really kind, and the guy was really, really sweet. Favorite new author has to be Katie Bailey. She is a new author to me. I found her on Kindle Unlimited. She writes clean, sweet romances. I read The Quit List first, and I just read, is it called The Roommate Situation? They're just really silly rom-coms, but they do have some good storytelling behind it too. There's some good character development throughout both of the books that I read by her. I just know that I can pick up one of her books and have a good time. It's not gonna be the best book I've read in the world, but it's gonna be a fun time. My newest fictional crush, this is a very new crush because this is the last book I finished. Teddy from Heartbreak House Share. There's fake dating in this, but really it's friends to lovers because they start out building this friendship, and it's just so sweet. He is so caring and so understanding of what she's going through in this. Flick is our main female character, and she just moved into this new house share after having a breakup, and now she's writing a column in the magazine that she works for all about post-breakup and things that you should do in your 20s, but she mentions going out to eat with a friend, and someone comments and thinks that it's a date. Her boss latches onto that and wants her to start talking about the date she's going on, even if they're not really dating. So he agrees to this fake dating situation for her magazine, but he's just so understanding. I don't even know why, and he seems very caring and very protective, but also just fun to be around. You can tell he's a golden retriever. I would like a Teddy in my life. He just seems really nice. Or Theodore. Theodore is his actual name. A book that made me cry was definitely Firefly Lane. I actually have it on video. I read this in one of my recent reading vlogs. It's a beautifully written story about friendship. You follow them from when they're children all the way up into their adulthood and when they have families. And it just makes you cry because sadness in the ending, but also sweetness. And I was just crying. I definitely recommend having tissues with you when you read this. It's not the happiest of reads, but I still think about this book pretty constantly because the friendship just has such an impact on me. It was so touching to see friends ebb and flow and go through really hard times but still stick together, because I think that's what true friendship is. You don't have to like each other all the time, but you can be around each other and care for each other no matter what. And it was just beautifully written. Also, just, you know, tears were flowing. The opposite end, books that made you happy. I chose the one with the kiss cam. I found this on Kindle Unlimited randomly, and it was so good that I decided to pick up a physical copy, or not pick up, I ordered it on Amazon. This girl goes on a date with a guy from a dating app. He turns out to be terrible, but the guy next to her seems very friendly, and he's a gentleman, and he is caring for her and making sure that she's okay and not unsafe in this dating app situation. So they decide to spend the rest of the night together. They walk around the town after this basketball game and just do a lot of fun things. But then they don't see each other for a while, and then they come back into each other's life a little later in an interesting way. This is such a good book for my acts of service love language people. And the female main character is very strong. She knows what she wants, and she's gonna work hard for it, and it just made me very happy, made me smile. Most beautiful book I have bought. I just got this recently, past couple weeks. This is Light Lark. I've seen this all over TikTok. The author promotes it very well on TikTok. The marketing is stellar. I don't know why. I think it's just beautiful. I'm obsessed with how the actual heart looks. I know that's so weird, but I'm a little bit interested in cardiology, so when I go into medical school, I'm going to be thinking about that too. Thought about oncology and cardiology. It's a heart, but then there's flowers coming out of it. It's very much giving Twilight, which is might be like that, I don't know. I'm very excited to read it because the cover is really pretty to me. And lastly, what books are on your radar for the rest of the year? I made the video at the very beginning of the year called 24 books I want to read in 2024. And I've gone through a good amount of those, but there are some that I have left that I want to read. These Silent Woods, this is a thriller with emotional depth to it, and it could be a little bit of Christian suspense. The Reappearance of Rachel Price, this is Holly Jackson's newest release, and I loved A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, so I really think I'm gonna like this. And Powerless. I've been told to read this so many times. It's a romance fantasy. I heard it's like really good tension and kind of like Hunger Games. So these three are definitely on my radar to finish before the year is up, which we have plenty of time. We've got 6 more months to go. The Bible verse for today is Proverbs 27:19. As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. This is so true. You can really feel someone's heart and passion behind what they do. If you're in the room with someone so bubbly, you know that they're just so joyful. It's really beautiful to see someone's heart reflected in what they do. This could also be on the flip side though. If we're putting negative stuff in and negative self-talk and bad language in, and that's gonna flow out of us. So we need to be careful about what we're putting in, what we're focusing our heart on. Are we in the word every day? Are we praying? Because that's gonna flow out of us, and that's gonna reflect to other people, not to shine and put glory on ourselves, but to glorify God. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can comment down below any books that you're excited to read in the second half of this year. I hope you'll have a wonderful, wonderful day and be a blessing to others today. Bye guys.